Welcome to the Reticle Up podcast, where I, 3-Gun Kenzie, will be interviewing competitive shooters, hunters, fishermen, archers, entrepreneurs, and outdoorsmen. Come learn with me as I interview people from all walks of life, in different disciplines, all across the world, from novices to professionals of all ages. No matter what, everyone has something they can teach you, so come join me on the journey. The Reticle Up podcast is produced in partnership with AmericanFirearms.org. American Firearms' mission is to recommend what works. We believe everyone deserves access to unbiased, helpful information about firearms, and our buying guides, product reviews, and learning resources are designed to help real people find the stuff that will work best for them. Check us out at www.americanfirearms.org. Hey y'all, welcome back to the Reticle Up podcast. I'm here with Tom Castro. I don't have all his credentials in front of me, but basically the Grandmaster of shooting in general, period, all sports, all divisions. Tom and I got to connect actually at SHOT Show. He's recently off the Pan American Extreme Open, which we're going to talk about, and all the things. Instructor. Tom, do you just want to give your credentials? It'll take about a half hour.
I don't really care about my credentials.
Okay.
I'm a USPSA coach. Mostly all my stuff is training based at this point. Love coaching and love shooting.
I'm
This is
podcaster.
my life, baby. Well, I like talking about shooting, so that's where the podcasting comes from. Because actually, I don't make anything for podcasting. I just love talking about shooting, and podcasting seems to be the way to get it all out there in one big shot. So
Same. Yep. I don't make a dime off this. This is great. It's just
yeah. It's just fun, just for me to spend more money on shit. You know, I got like all kind of equipment, expensive microphones, just for me to
in our
make
spare
nothing.
time. Our spare time to do this.
right. To make no money, it's awesome. Podcasting is great. I'm going for that Joe Rogan $100 million USPSA podcast, but I think it's going to take forever.
Probably in this day and age, we got in too late. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know if USPSA is ever going to make me $100 million. Actually,
No,
probably cost me $100 million.
yes, it costs more to. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to begin, but I really want to talk about SHOT Show. But let's talk about Pan Am first because I'm really excited for you. So, for people that don't know, I mean, a lot of people know who you are, but you switch divisions. I don't know, every single week, and then you just go win them, and then just the next week you're shooting another gun. So. Talk about how you kind of mentally and maybe even physically prepared for PCC and coming back into that environment and then winning.
So PCC for me is I'm very fortunate enough that I have figured out a way of shooting that it doesn't matter what gun I pick up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very focused on fundamentals at speed. A lot of people talk about fundamentals. The problem is they talk about fundamentals at slow speed. I think of fundamentals as you have to do them fast in the sport. So I'm a big believer in time matters in the sport because it does. I mean, it's part of our scoring. So I have quite a few people that have done a lot of IPSC, and every time I have a conversation with them, they're like, it's different. You have to slow down. You have to be more accurate. Bullcrap. You have to be fast and accurate no matter what. So yes, that's easier said than done, but you have to do both. So when I switch divisions, I treat it the same. I don't have a skill. I don't have a where I go faster with a rifle or I go faster with a pistol or slower, vice versa. I've run my sights, right? I really do run my sights. It's one of my biggest rules is sights first. And then from there, trigger after trigger, then it's the sights again. It's just constantly repeating the same thing over and over again. Unfortunately, I haven't been practicing a whole lot because I've been traveling and coaching and doing stuff like that. So luckily enough, I have such a great base off of the rifle from when I started that I just I just add little things that I learn as I go. So that's helped a lot. That's helped a lot with switching divisions because normally that's not easy. And it's not something easy that I have to really pay attention to switching.
Yeah. I don't know how Nils does irons to red dot too. I think
it's much easier to go from irons to red dot versus red dot to irons. It's a lot harder to do that. And the reason that is because it's the visual, right? When you have a red dot, you can see everything a lot faster. When you go to that iron sight thing, it's very blurry. There's a lot of stuff in your face. You don't have as clean of a sight picture. So there's, again, I think that's where most people think you have to slow down and get your hits. It just takes a lot more visual confirmation. And then as you practice it more, it comes back. It's like, oh, okay, now I know what that's supposed to look like. But it takes a little bit of time to switch. Like it really does. Like for me, I'm shooting carry optics again this week, and I picked the gun up and I said, what is this thing? Like it feels so weird. Like I just putting it in my hand and understanding the difference in the grip, not, obviously not pulling it into my body is a lot different than, keeping it 6 feet away from my body is a completely different feeling. But I plan on shooting the shit out of that thing as fast as I do the PCC. It's because again, it's just sights is sights to me. I don't, trigger prep's the same. The trigger's the same to me. It doesn't change. I mean, if I went to a revolver, I'd probably not be doing very well.
I would pay to watch that. I would pay money to watch that. Like,
I need to borrow one and classify at least. I don't want to be that guy who doesn't have classifications in like
the only division I haven't classified in or borrowed a gun or gear, and I really, really want to do it. Like, I want to ask you what it was like too, because you shot with Danny Slavic. I don't know how to say his last name.
Yeah, Slavic, I think. Yeah.
And then Zach Smith, obviously. So you had, an international shooter that's on Team Da Vinci. You had Zach with Terran Tactical, and you guys are the best of the best. I mean, in my opinion, right? And you guys were 1, 2, 3. So was that fun, stressful, hard, or was it something where you like could figure out your pace or what you needed to do? Like.
So I never actually, it's funny that you ask about the pace. Let's start with that. Because Zach Smith, this is the first time I've ever actually spent time with Zach Smith. I have met him a couple of times, just, back and forth at nationals, just say hello, whatever, just introduce myself. He introduced himself. He's very nice, but we got a lot of time to shoot together this week. We shot actually every PCC shooter but one was on our squad. So that was kind of neat that we had an entire squad of PCC shooter. So it was like everybody had the same make ready. You know what I mean? It wasn't like there was a guy up there shooting open and doing a different stage plan or having an extra reload somewhere that we didn't have. So it was kind of neat to see everybody kind of running similar plans. But we were actually discussing about the pace, and he was like, man, I'm glad we're all shooting together so I could kind of, pace myself with, you guys. And I told him like straight up, like, I never pace myself with anyone else. Like my shooting is my shooting. Like when I go shoot with D-class guys, I'm going to shoot like I'm shooting with grandmasters. I don't care. I've never, ever. And I told him, and I don't know if it sounded like I was being a dick or not, but I was like, dude, I don't ever shoot down to my competition. Like if my competition is shooting bad, I never go, oh, well, let's give them a chance. And like, let's throw some no shoots to help them.
Can you tell the Florida State football team this to stop playing down?
Well, that tends to be, unfortunately, it's that killer attitude that a lot of people don't have anymore. And I don't mean to be that like a jerk, but I'm super competitive. Like I was talking to a guy the other day who won 2 years in a row, the same match. He's like, oh, I think I'm going to try something else out next year for a division and give someone else a try. I said, what are you talking about? Like, why? What kind of competition mindset is that? Like, go attack that thing and win it 18 times in a row. Like that's the whole goal, is to be the dominant champion, or you should be. I don't understand the whole participation thing. Like, oh, I want someone else to win. No, I want to win every time I go. That's just how I am. So having those 3 guys or those 2 other guys with me was huge for one thing, and really one thing only. I have been in the last 2 years very frustrated with my mental game at big matches, to the point where, like, I guess last year really was a kick in the groin, because I was like, dude, I shot so well, but when it broke down to like the most pressure moments, I wasn't shooting with my competition, right? I'm looking at scores and not understanding like how to play the game, right? Like if there was a 60-point stage that I just needed to survive, I was trying to win it by 100 points when it's not worth anything but 60, right?
Right.
So this match, I have both of these guys, and both of them are shooting fast. Both of them are aggressive. They're both attacking targets, both shooting pretty accurate. And my first day, it took me about half a match. So we shot 10 stages per day. The first 5 stages, it took me a little bit to get going because I hadn't shot the rifle. I shot 400 rounds before I went to the match. So yeah, well, I haven't been the most prepared for some of these matches lately because of just my schedule's been nuts. So I go in, took me about 4-5 stages to get rolling. And then I cranked out like 3 stage wins in a row, like not just like, oh, barely squeakers, but like, all right, let's go. I'm back, right? I feel the gun. And now to me is feeling the gun, like understanding what the gun recoil feels like. And like how to pull the gun in the way I want to pull it in. And I just started shooting well. So I shot 3 stages in a row that I murdered. And then I can't remember what happened. Something went wrong that's right. The RO, we had a lot of outside interference in this match.
I heard a lot about the match that was not positive.
Well, I mean, it was a great match. The stages were a lot different than what I thought they would be. I expected like half swingers with no shoots at 25 yards. It just didn't happen, which was okay. You shoot what you see, and that's all you can do. But there was some stuff where we were getting a lot of reshoots because the timers weren't working, and it was just an interesting, kind of scenario that happened. And Daniel was shooting pretty well, and Zach was shooting well. So at that point, I'm like, all right, I got to, just stay in the game, right? Because I wasn't shooting the best until like towards the end of the match or that day. And but it was a lot of pressure. So I'm like, all right, I like this. Like this is what I really enjoy is that pressure. I don't get that a lot because I shoot with my friends too much, right? And
Craig, I don't. You suck, Craig. You just suck.
No, I'm turning over a new leaf. I'm going to be positive about Craig. So
no, he's awesome. But you're right. Like you've got the best of the best in a zone that does push you. You want to shoot with better. You want to,
right?
Yeah,
right. So like I'll shoot with a lot of my students, which is fine. Like I really enjoy that part, but it's different, right? Does that make sense? It's a lot different shooting against somebody like, Max Leograndis or Justine or Zach or Daniel. It was completely different feeling than I've had forever. I've never shot on a super squad type of feeling like that.
Cool.
So as we're going through this match, day 2 came around and I woke up. Like my first 3 stages were ridiculous. Like I was like, all right, I'm going to win this match. Well, I was down by 9 points on day 1. Day 2, I shot really well, but I had some issues. I had 2 reshoots. One of them almost shot an RO. It was really close. I posted the video the other day. It was kind of scary. Well, here was my mistake. I decided to go right away.
Oh.
I should have waited. I didn't realize how much that actually bothered me.
Yeah.
So I should have waited. So the next, of course, the reshoot, I end up having a mic. And so it hurt. But then, the next 2 stages or 3 stages, it wasn't, they were just mediocre. It took me a little bit to get rolling again. Then I go to my last stage and I just murdered it, like absolutely destroyed it. I'm like, all right, tomorrow's going to be a good day. Looking at the scores, I'm 25 points down. I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm not going to shoot any faster. I'm just going to focus more on the fundamentals. So some of the mistakes I was making on day 2 is I was sweeping targets. Like I wasn't staying on the target long enough. So I'd get like stupid Charlie, and I ended up having one stage where I had a no shoot and 2 mics, and the 2 mics were on targets where your handshakes, but I just swept it just enough, right? And I watched the video and caught it. Go into day 3, and my first stage was just kind of crap. I had a mic and I had to go back and make it up on a stupid lean, and it took like 3 seconds. It ended up not being worth it, but I wasn't leaving with a mic. I wouldn't start my day off with a mic, right? Whether I win or lose. We go further into the match, and I shoot a swinger, and this is a stage win if I don't have them change the score. I shoot Charlie, Delta, and then I shot 3. There were 3 hits on the paper, but it was a swinger that I barely saw, and I had a double Charlie on. So Zach comes up, and I'm going to tell you a story about Zach in a minute because it's pretty awesome. So Zach comes up, looks at it. I'm like, I don't know, dude. I didn't call a double Charlie and a Delta. I saw a blur of brown, and he's looking at it and it didn't look right. Like the Charlie was definitely one and the Delta was definitely one, but that double figure 8 touching Charlie, I'm like, ain't no way in hell that I put that like that.
Right.
And he looks at it, and finally the lady scores everything. And I looked at him and I said, what do you think, dude? Like, I don't want a bullshit call here. And he looked at, cause it's close. Like I'm down 25 points, but Zach was close. And I'm like, I don't want to steal a stage win or do anything like that. And it ended up being I took the Charlie Delta because he looked at it. He goes, dude, it doesn't look right. And I said, it doesn't look right to me either. So the lady was like stunned that I told her I wanted the Delta instead of the 2 Charlie. And what the reason I did that, not just because I didn't want the bullshit call, but also the very first stage I shot with Zach, he shoots a Alpha Delta. I think it was an Alpha 2 Delta, but he shot 2 Deltas, and it looked like it was close for a Charlie. Mm-hmm. The guy gave him a Charlie, but didn't even really look at it, just assumed it was a Charlie. Zach walks up to it and goes, nah, man, that's definitely a Delta. Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right, I like this guy. We're going to have a great match. I don't have to sit here and watch for BS or whatever.
Yep.
So I was like, all right, we're going to play the game. Let's rock and roll. And that was awesome. Like, that was like, I was like, if this is what the super squad's like, I'm going to like this, because I don't want to chase people's scores.
I've seen the integrity, shooting the Marco, shooting the Zach, JR, all of them. And I've done it forwards, like, to the detriment of our scores, but that's how it should be.
Right.
Yeah, and that's cool. I mean, he was sharing a lot of the ups and downs. And again, I wasn't there, so I have no idea. But I heard a lot of the struggles of the reshoots were pretty bad. So, but I'm glad you guys shot together. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I was down 25 and I took a Delta. And I'm like, oh, dude, this is gonna suck if I lose because I did that. But I was like, I'd rather lose than be that guy, right? Like, I saw some stuff where a lot of people were calling for doubles, and I'm just like,
I know.
If I cared enough to argue this, I was just like, I'm not saying anything. I'm keeping my mouth shut, right?
Yeah.
So we finished that, and then I don't know. I think because I took that Delta, I don't know. I turned it up, and I didn't even try harder. I just focused more on the fundamentals. And I just started ripping and shooting and just focusing on putting the dot where I needed to put it. And just everything was just more focused. And the pressure was actually the thing that I liked the most, because I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
So I ended up winning the match by 40 points, even with that Delta. So, I mean, what is that? A 65-point swing.
It's insane.
In one day. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Like, I walked away from that match. I never like sit down and, like, I'm never happy about my match, but I actually sat down the very next day or that entire night, and I was just like, dude, I'm proud of you. Like, you got your shit together. Like, you actually handled that the way you always know you always have. But it was just, I didn't let anything stop me from just shooting the match. Right. Yeah. I didn't get frustrated. I just, and there was a lot of things outside of my control. Like, Zach asked me on day 3 after I took the Delta, we started talking, and I was like, dude, I'm not even mad about my shooting. Like, there's just so much shit going on that has nothing to do with me. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I'm not even mad. Like, I feel like I'm shooting great. It's just like, there's always something
for sure
that takes away that flow or that rhythm of, the match. But it really was a good match. It just, that outside stuff kind of hurts.
It does. I mean, I feel like this too. I'm assuming you're preparing to shoot like World Shoot PCC, even though it's push, but those are the guys that you're going to essentially, go up against. So you're in IPSC, you're actually getting to train with them, shoot with them, and see what that's like. You'll probably end up on a super squad too out there, I
don't think I'm on the team. So here, from what I've been told, they're going to take 20, 21, or I think 21, 22, and 23. Well, and they're going to, or I think it's 20, 21, 22, and 23, and they're going to drop their worst one. Well, I've only shot PCC, which is 22. Mm-hmm. This year will be 23. I don't have enough matches.
Huh.
That's the one thing I will tell you about the World Shoot that I've noticed, that like picking the team kind of sucks, because it doesn't matter who the best shooters are at the time.
Right.
Not to say that I'm the best shooter, because there's a lot of other shooters that are really, really great, but it doesn't matter if you win nationals or if you're like in the top 5 in the last 2 matches
for years.
Right. Which is okay. I don't think that's a bad thing, but like World Shoot this year, when they did the World Shoot, a lot of those guys didn't even, like, a lot of the newest carry optics guys were not shooting back then. Right. So they didn't have a chance to get onto that World Shoot. Not to say anything against the guys that were on, because that's awesome. Sure. And I would have been very upset that those guys didn't get their chance, right? It's not their fault that COVID jacked them up.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, like,
they deserve their shot.
There's opportunity if people don't go or say no, or they can't travel.
Right.
Well, I hope
it's on my bucket list if I can make it. I don't put as much time into the PCC as I used to, but for that, I would train my ass off. I take those opportunities very serious. My goal this year is to put every single bit of my energy into carry optics. I want to make a World Shoot as a pistol shooter, as a PCC as well. But I want to earn my spot at one of those matches. It frustrates me that I missed out on the opportunity, because I didn't know anything about the World Shoot when I first started. So my first 4 years, I could have been working towards that, and I had no idea that was something that was real.
Yeah, it's still convoluted, even on the shotgun side of things, because that's what I want to shoot. And like talking to them at SHOT Show, I was like, who else is going to shoot shotgun though? Mm-hmm. There's not very many of us, but yeah. You'll earn a spot. And you're still shooting the Canic?
Yeah.
for Prairie Optics. Are you going to get a steel frame?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out where I go next with that.
Okay.
I picked it up at SHOT Show. Had some nice conversations about, where I go next with Canik, but haven't finalized anything. Still trying to work on that. So I've got an email out there too, who I hope I need to get to see if I can finalize that whole scenario. So
cool though. Those are great guns, and I think they're so underestimated.
I'm a big fan. Even if I never find the next level of this sport when it comes to sponsorship, I shoot what I like. So that is a benefit of not having sponsorship. You can shoot whatever the hell you want.
Yep. I'm all over the place. It's really fun though. Right. It's really fun.
Yeah. I shoot the same guns all the time. Like, it's funny because everyone's like, "Oh, you change around." I'm like, "Yeah, I go from a Da Vinci to a Canik to a Canik to a Da Vinci." And then if I shoot an open gun, I'm like, "Yeah, that's a Franken gun, bro. I don't have money for open."
Yeah, but you're also dominatrix with an open gun too.
Yeah, I try to be. It's just that's a gun I need a lot of practice with for sure.
It's hard to get the top on that one. I can't imagine. Can't imagine the level.
Well, those guys are pretty good. Listen, it's really hard to beat people who shoot one gun too.
Yep.
Right. Like, if you shoot one gun, not to take anything away from Nils, but one advantage Nils has always had is he shoots the same gun in every match he goes to. Right. It makes a big difference. Recoil control is the same. He knows everything there is to know. Right. He knows everything there is to know. Listen, I don't care what anybody says. That minor feat that he made where he won in minor. Oh my God, that's amazing. Like, that to me was his best win. Yep. Definitely, because of that. That's very tough. Like, this weekend, I looked at my scores with the PCC versus the open guys, and I changed them to minor, and I won high overall.
Yep.
Because of major scoring factor. Now, those guys are freaking awesome. I don't want to take away anything. And it is different because I really have a draw like they do. And there's a lot of things that they had that I might not have, but it's like, when you look at that major scoring factor, it just really shows how awesome Nils was at limited minor. For
sure. It's insane.
It's pretty crazy.
He's not crazy. Of this world. So.
Yeah. Well, I think he really likes that. He's got that little feather in his cap, and he can just, no matter who talks shit to that guy, he's just like, limited minor.
I like all of these with the future open champion guy. The Canik with the frame. Yeah. Oh my God.
He literally planted Canik as one of the best guns in the world just from that win. People don't even understand how good he is. They're just like, that gun. I'm like, dude, the guy could shoot a potato, a Canik on the side of it, and he probably still win. He's good. He's very good.
Very true. It's very true.
Funny.
Well, so let's talk about SHOT Show. So, really cute watching you experience your very first SHOT Show. First of all, what made you decide to go to SHOT Show this year?
Canik.
Okay. And then how long were you planning to go? Like, was this planned in advance?
I planned on it. So I actually had talked to Craig, my buddy Craig McElhaney, about going to SHOT Show a year ago because I've always wanted to go.
Yep.
I have never been to SHOT Show. I didn't know what to expect. I obviously knew that it was a industry show, and it wasn't like where you're going to go and buy a bunch of stuff. That's not what I went for anyway.
Yep.
But the farther I got into the sport, and the more driven I was to be sponsored by companies like Canik and Mark 7 and stuff, people that I was talking to, those were the reasons I went. And actually what made me go or finalize my decision was JJ Ricazza. So I sat down with JJ. He shoots at my local club, and JJ says to me, I talked to him about his Beretta sponsorship. Like, how did it happen? All these things. Like, how do you get that, at that level? You've been shooting 20 years. How did you decide that level? And he was like, you got to go to SHOT Show. He's like, that's where everything happens. He goes, that's where you meet everybody. You meet the people that you need to meet. And I'm not a big email guy. Like, I don't really like just sending out an email and said, hey man, send me some stuff. Cause that's not what I want sponsorship for anyway.
Right.
I'm real big about, I'm very loyal to companies that I've already dealt with. You stick with them until they give you a reason to not be there. Right. Yeah. And that was one of the things about Canik. Like, I've been shooting them for, actually, it's funny because Nils says to me the other day, he goes, dude, you've been shooting Canik longer than I have. I didn't even realize that. And, and I have, and I just didn't know that, obviously, but, I'm loyal to something that I really like. Right. And they really stand for, I really love what they do. Same thing with Da Vinci. I've been with them for 4 years. I didn't even realize it, but I had been shooting a Da Vinci for 4 years.
Yep.
I still have the same exact gun that he gave me to prototype. I was looking at my gun. I was like, oh, that's a prototype. That's I took a picture the other day and posted it with my gun and a new gun. And I'm like, how come his is nice? Oh, that's right. Mine still has like a Sharpie Da Vinci on the side of it, like as a prototype. And it's like nothing like the new stuff that he's got now. But it's like, I'm very loyal to those. So that's why I went, right?
Yeah.
I went to go meet those companies. I wanted to meet, see what it was like and meet a bunch of different companies that I've been interested in and products. I'm kind of a gun nerd when it comes to products, not so much guns, but I like, like dry fire products. I like that kind of stuff. So, that was the main reason I went, was to deal with sponsors.
Okay, so summed up, because I'm going to ask a ton of other questions. This is really fun because I experienced it through your eyes. But summed up, because a lot of people argue this, do you think SHOT Show was worth going to?
For me, yes.
Yeah.
For me, yes. Because of what my goal was, right? My goal wasn't there to go touch new guns. My goal was there to meet companies. And I think that's what SHOT Show is supposed to be. It's for meetings and conversations. It's not just to look at new shit.
Right. No, it's building relationships. So it's funny how many people are like, oh, SHOT's no longer the place to be. And I'm like, can you get into SHOT Show? And they're like, well, no. It's like, okay, well, that's probably why you're saying that, right? I've gone for the last couple of years, and it blew my mind. For me, it was like the most busiest I've ever been. But those relationships and those connections, even with people I've been emailing with, because I would like email introduce, now that I have a name and a face, and like I have lunch plans in Texas coming out because I finally met the dude in person or whatever it is so important. And I think that was valuable. So watching you run around talking to people, how different were like you and I versus like, I don't know how to say it, like other people in the industry that were not as friendly, excited, and energetic as us?
So I think working SHOT Show probably really sucks. Like if you worked SHOT Show for more than 5 years, you're probably like, this is horrible, right?
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, I get it. Like at the end of the day, you're not there to enjoy SHOT Show. You're there to, people ask a lot of stupid shit, right? Like, I mean, I was listening to a couple people and I'm just like, what are you asking right now? Right? Like it's different for those guys, right? For us, it's literally, it's a social thing, right? Like I get to go and meet these people but I get to walk away. Like I get to sit down, have a conversation, meet people, talk to them. It's, I'll tell you, it's really funny though, because I could see how I would enjoy working SHOT Show, like if I ever worked for a company. So I was at Canik with Nils, and we were talking, or actually I was waiting to set up the interview with him for the steel frame gun. And he wasn't there yet. And I didn't want to set up my camera in case he had to cancel. Cause I mean, listen, he's super busy. Like he's at that table, like the whole time, showing off the guns and having a conversation. So I'm waiting for him, and a guy walks up and he's like, do you work here? Now I'm wearing Tom Castro Shooting Academy. I'm like, no. I said, but I shoot a rifle a lot, or a Canik in general. Cause I shot a TP9 SFX before last year. And I said, what would you like to know? And he's like, hey, my buddy's having a problem with this, that. And I'm like, oh, okay. I walk over to the steel frame that happens to be the closest thing. I tear the gun apart. Like I break off the top, and I take the slide off, and I'm like, well, it's this, 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 and this, and this. And the guy's like, wow, thanks, dude. Like, that's awesome. And I'm going, and I turn around, I'm going, holy shit. I just acted like I worked here. Like, that's the craziest thing. It was like, I was like, I hope I don't get fired or get, what am I doing right now? Like,
pre-fired.
Like, I don't even work here. I'm getting talking to this dude.
It's so bad when you talk to some of these companies though, and like, more than them, or not even just that, but I've been to places where like the sales team, bless their hearts, that's their job. But like, I'll go to a booth and I'll be like, oh, I won't say like a shooter around that I know. Like, who's that? And I was like, I don't know, one of your top athletes that shoots for you. Like, I'm kind of cringing. And I was like, oh, okay. That's painful.
Yeah, I mean, nobody was around at the time, so it worked out good for me that no one heard me saying that. I was like, all right, woo, good. Like people were like, hey, do you got any patches or shirts? And I'm like, I don't work here, bro. I guess I was just hanging out a lot, waiting for Nils at the time, but I was just like, no, I don't work here, man. And I was like, I know where there are, but I'm not getting them out of that cabinet.
I know where they are. Okay. I know you made fun of me. I didn't ask for anything for SHOT Show. The first year was like weird with that, but I love these pins every year from Spyderco because they're my first knife company I've ever owned. My dad gifted me it. Anyways, they have these little cool, every year they change it. And kind of like Kenzie, I do a new patch every year. So it's a very like collectible item. Right. But it is cool to see some of the patches. I don't know if you saw some of the ridiculous ones that come out of SHOT Show. Like they're fun.
So I didn't, honestly, I was really surprised because like Craig told me like, go get me patches. And I'm like, first of all, dude, I ain't running around getting you a bunch of shit. Like you should have came.
People ask me that?
Yeah, I'm not carrying that stuff around. Like I overpacked like a champ because I didn't know where I was. Like I had got a place, but I didn't know what kind of place I got. And it had like its own laundry, washer and dryer. I'm like, well, I would have brought half of what, because I worked out the entire time. So I bring all my workout clothes, you know, so I don't have to wash it. But I was like, oh man, I had a laundry. I could have just taken half of what I had, but I didn't want to bring a bunch of crap home. I think I left with 2 catalogs total for the entire thing. And they were both knife companies. Cause I was like, oh, I want to look at, that was it. That was the only 2 catalogs I took from the whole place. But man, there were people walking around there with grocery carts full of shit. I'm like, good Lord. And I was like on day 3, I'm like, that has actually been emptied 2 other days. Right. And they refilled it on day 3.
No, that's the annoying part. It's funny, like when people ask me about SHOT Show and you make fun of my little leg purse thingy. That thing is brilliant. Hands-free.
It's better than a backpack. I might have to get one of those.
I'm telling you, I saw a dude at range day with them on. But like, yeah, like people that are pulling around their. Did you ever see a wheeled cart? Did you get hit with one of those?
No, but I saw them.
That's on your checklist.
Thank goodness. So. Yeah, no, I'm not getting that. I'll bring my Zuka cart.
Oh, no.
I think I'll take my Zuka cart with me from now on.
God, no. So if you haven't been hit with one, though, then that's still on your list of things to do is get rolled over by those.
So I was lucky enough that I brought my camera stuff on day 3 that I was there. Because, the day 2, I'm sorry. So day 1, I went in and was prepared to just walk around. I got so lost constantly because I was like, well, what the hell? Okay, 20,000s. I know where that is. That was the easiest one to find. But I was like, all right, well, I need to go to Pro Shot Products to talk to them. I need to go to and I would just walk. I spent most of my time on the main floor, which is all the biggest companies. Yep. There's a downstairs floor that I still never finished because I stopped and talked to Jody and actually some new shooters from New York that I talked to that asked about, getting into matches. So I was like, I got totally screwed up on the last day. I never even saw what I wanted, all the rest of it. But it's overwhelming. Like that place is over. And I saw so many people afterwards online saying they were there. And I'm like, I'm friends with that person. Where the hell were those people?
I ran into like 90% of people I knew, and then the 10% that I actually wanted to see. No offense, but I mean, like, but really wanted to see. I'd never see. I was like, I didn't know you guys were there the whole time. Like, I would have. It's so wild how many times you've seen them, like in passing. I'll run into the same person like 500 times, and then not once see the other person.
Yeah. Well, I learned a lot from you about with the SHOT Show is like the schedule thing. Like Canik did if I would not have gone over to Canik when I did, I would have never known this, but they did a giveaway at 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock every single day. I saw Eric Gerfel. I met him once because I wanted to introduce myself to him because he was coming to my range that week to put on a class. So I was like, hey, and I'm in charge of that, the material and stuff. I said, hey, just want to introduce myself. Pretty cool. Actually, he remembered me. When I saw him at the range, I was like, holy shit, Eric Gerfel remembered me. That's pretty interesting. Like, I guess I'm a very annoying person. Sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
So I met him. That was kind of cool. And then he did the class that weekend. But I saw a video the other day with JJ and JJ Racaza and Eric Gerfel at Arms Corps. I was like, well, shit, if I would have known that was going on, I would have went over there or scheduled that in. But I didn't. I just never followed a schedule. I just kind of walked around aimlessly. And that was one thing that you taught me was like, listen, if you have a place you have to go, you better schedule it and actually go there without walking around because you're never going to get there.
Ever.
And I learned my lesson there. So that was kind of cool.
Well, that's the first show. And you were doing up and down the aisle stuff, which you get distracted though very hard, like very easily. And then you never make it. And the show goes by very fast.
And I didn't stay till the last day either. I actually left a day early. I probably didn't need to stay the last day because I was pretty much done. Like I was after 3 days, I was just like, cool, I'm done. Yeah, I'm like, now I would have liked to have gone earlier to go to the range day. That would have definitely been more of my, I'm much more of a shooter than I am a gear person.
So that's where I met Eric. That's where I actually got to shoot the Rock Island 5.0. By the way, don't watch it, please. But did you see that I ended up in a freaking demo with JJ at Arms Corps for 30 minutes? I was in the wrong place at the wrong time where I would not have gone then. And he needed somebody on stage. And his first sentence was like, maybe I should have asked you to do this. Don't fall off the stage, Kenzie. I'm like, JJ.
Did he give you a waiver like I talked about or no?
We talked about that after. I was like, bro, Yeah, no. Anyways, carpet, boots, like the bag purse leg thing.
Oh,
If you
that's
want to do a
awesome.
demo,
That's so
no.
awesome.
Movement, no.
That's so great.
But yeah, for SHOT Show for newbies, like I download the app, I get all of the booth numbers written down. It sounds silly, but like I did so many steps. I'm curious about how many steps you did that the first year. This year I carved down like 20,000 by making sure if I had to go somewhere and I wanted to see other stuff that I put those 4,000s together.
Right.
It's like that's your only time. And if you miss it, you're not walking back and forth when
Yeah.
you're not doing it. Do you know how many steps you had?
I didn't even pay attention, honestly. There was a couple things where I was walking a couple miles and I was just like, well, I haven't even finished half the day yet. So I was like, it got to a point where I walked so fast, just trying to cover ground. I was going like this, like looking left and right. And I was like, not even knowing I was seeing, like I walked by Beretta probably 15 times. It's one of the biggest vendors there, like giant, right? And so finally I just happened to see Jaleese and Justine sitting at the front of it. And I go, oh, hey, how are you guys? And I go, oh shit, this is Beretta. Like I found it. I was like, and I walked in there, looked at a couple things, but I was like, I've been by this thing 15 times in the last 2 days and I've never even once looked in there. So it was kind of, but again, they had more of like walls around theirs. It wasn't as open as some of the other vendors. So you didn't really notice as much. But again, like you said, you have to go look if there's something specific that you want to go see, because if you don't, you can walk right by it. Like Terran Tactical had a booth there, but it wasn't under their name. It was under someone else's name. Right.
Yeah,
so I stopped by.
Yeah,
and actually it's funny because I didn't even stop by to see Terran Tactical stuff. I just saw Zach Smith.
Yeah.
And I wanted to stop by and say hello because I knew we were shooting the next week together. And I was like, hey, bro, how's it going? You know, and just say hello. And then I go, oh, this is Terran's, like, this is all Terran's Tactical stuff. I was like, okay, that's cool. And shot the shit a little bit with him, but with Zach. But I was like, oh, I didn't but again, if you don't know that, you're not going to go see it, right? You're not just going to randomly walk up and find that stuff. It's very difficult to just find things unless you have specific goals to be there.
Yeah, and so like I want to talk about not shooters necessarily, but people in the industry, like people like you and me that are creating content or teaching or having events or whatever it looks like. How do you approach companies, maybe like not cold turkey necessarily, but let's say not a Canic. You don't know anyone there. We went up and made friends with POF, like by making fun of their gun, that kind of
cool
stuff. But that was a lot of fun. How can you recommend people? Like, what do you recommend people to do? I guess talking to people, strangers, connecting, talking. I know it's easy for you and I'm just trying to figure out how to lay a game plan for people to do what we do.
So the first thing I would recommend, and this is something that I learned, this first thing is I learned from JJ, was they're never going to approach you. It doesn't matter if you're the greatest shooter in the world. They're never going to approach you. It's almost like a pride thing. Right? Like you have to go talk to them. They're not going to just search you out. Now, that being said, there are some times that does happen, but the majority of the time, if you want sponsorship, you have to go get it, right? Just like you want to win, you got to go get it. It doesn't just fall into your lap. Yeah. Okay. Somebody's gun broke, but they're going to kick your ass the next 5 times. Right. Yeah. So fine. But at the end of the day, you have to go ask for it. Tip number 2, and this is probably more important than anything else. Okay. Well, I guess there's 2 things there. Be yourself. Don't be a fake son of a bitch, because if you're fake, you're done. It doesn't take much to catch on to a fake person. And you have to understand how many people come up to these companies and go, can I get a free sticker? Can I get a free patch? Can I get a free gun? Can I get a free this? It should never be about free anything. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. That is the entire point of sponsorship. If you're going after sponsorship, a discount code. Okay. For every USPSA, 3-gunner, IPSC, everyone, a discount code is not a sponsorship. Just so you know. Again, I'll say this again because I hate this in our sport. A discount code is not a sponsorship. Okay, going on now. Stop asking for free things. That's the first thing. Like, my number one goal to go up to Canic was not to ask for a free gun. I want to grow my business and their business together. You want to know the easiest way it is for me to go up to ask somebody about being partners is I already own their product.
Correct.
I didn't just walk up and go, give me a free Canic. I own 4 of these guns that I didn't have to buy. Yeah. It's because I enjoy the product. That would be something else. Now, again, you're talking to somebody who hasn't even been sponsored yet, but I can tell you already, just talking to sponsors, everybody wants free shit.
Yep.
Right? Everybody wants free shit. There were people that were coming up and asking for stickers and patches and t-shirts at some of these companies, and they never even looked at the product.
Yeah.
I'd be like, get out of here. Like, get out. It's like, I'm not even giving you a free sticker. Like, you're not even looking at my product. But I get it. I get it. Not everybody is like me, and not everybody thinks about companies like that. But I own a business, right? I own a company. I understand what it's like to want to be to have value in your business, right? Like, it's when people come up and don't value what you do, it sucks. So as a company, I'm not going to invest in somebody who doesn't invest in me first, right?
Exactly.
And it's not just buy product. It's just talking about their product, right? Like, I sell Canics and don't even know it. I have people ask me about my Canic constantly. I have people that ask me about how to make their Canic work. I could be like, screw you. I'm not paid by Canic. I'm not paid by this company. No, I go, hey, this is how my gun works and why it works. Boom, done. It took me 5 minutes to be nice to somebody.
Yep.
Right.
And
but there's a lot of guys that want free shit.
Yeah, a lot. And then the value thing. It's like, if you're going up asking what you can get, then you're
100%.
the wrong person for it. So you're going
100%.
up and asking, how can I help you and add more value to your brand? But I preach that, I want to be sponsored by them. I was like, cool. Do you own their product? Run their product, post about it, share their stuff, do stuff that's free for you. Is adding it to your story. Like you said, recommending it to somebody else, letting someone shoot that gun. That adds value to a company.
Right.
Yeah. So
I think the hardest thing for a company, in my opinion, I mean, especially since I'm now in the industry with a business, is it's very hard to track sales. Yeah. Like, and I said to Nils, I talked to Nils about this. I said, man, I know I have sold a dozen Canics in the last 3-4 months. Right. I know I have. Before the steel frame came out, and it was even known, I sold a shit ton of Canics because everybody's like, oh man, that gun runs, whatever. And I told him, I said, but how do you know that I sold those? Right. That's the problem in the industry, really, at the end of the day, is it's very, very difficult to track what you sell. I said to Nils, I looked right at Nils. He's won every national championship. And I said, dude, how many guns you sell? He's like, I don't know. I go, exactly. I said, but if you don't think that you didn't sell a shit ton of guns after you won every nationals, you're crazy.
It's funny because I use his name when people ask me what guns do you recommend to get started or whatever, and a good price point. And I was like, of course, most people go with their Glocks. Some people have the money for HKs, whatever. And I'm always Canic, and here's why. It's not because, again, I'm not sponsored by them, but I'm like, here's why. Nils won all of these with a plastic gun with minor power factor. I've probably used that a million times. So I was like, hey, Nils, you made those sales technically just by improving it. Yeah.
Well, and they have to, and I mean, the most important thing in our sport is reliability. And that thing is so reliable that and again, I know people talk a lot of trash about plastic guns, but I mean, listen, they run, and there's a lot of things you can do to make them unplasticky. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you can add weight here. You can add some weight here, add some weight there, or you could buy the S now. The Canic S has come out, and it's going to change our sport. I'm telling you, I think it's going to be the #1 gun in our sport. I will be amazed if I don't see that gun take over, like many other metal guns that I've seen. It's going to take over our sport just because of the trigger alone. I mean, when people understand that you have a single action trigger, you know, a striker fired gun that you come up and go, click, it's over. It's like, oh, I just shaved 1/4 of a second off my time. I didn't have to like squeeze a trigger and drop the hammer and hope to God it doesn't go bang, and all these there's a lot of different things that are advantages to that firearm. You know,
because that's the first thing that everyone changes out of any stock firearm.
100%.
Any stock firearm. And I haven't touched my rival trigger. I wouldn't touch the steel frame trigger.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I actually just had a guy ask me about, he's like, listen, I'm tired of tinkering around with my open gun. He's like, I'm done. He's like, I'm just so done. He goes, I want to get into, I think I'm going to do carry optics. He goes, I can't afford 2 new open guns. He just doesn't like the one that he has. And he was like, I would not buy a backup gun. He was like, I definitely need 2 guns for the open. So he didn't want to go into a 2011 because of the cost. He's like, I'm not going to spend another 10 grand to get 2 new guns, or even possibly more, which is usually how it works. And he was like, so what do you think? I was like, bro, I will never ever talk you into anything else but a Canic. And he started laughing. He goes, well, I kind of knew that was the answer. That's why I called you. He's like, what do you think about the steel frame? And I said, honestly, I think it's going to change the division. I really do. I think it's going to be the gun. And he was like, all right, where do I get to? I'm like, all right. I said, I'll send Nils a message and I'll find out if they're where you live yet. I was like, because I don't know, right? And Nils not the best person at texting people back, just so that's out in public.
So busy. He's so busy, bless his heart. He's better
I'm trying to get him to sell guns and he won't even text me back. It's not like I'm asking for some shit.
Yeah, he's busy full time. I mean, he does that full time, which is neat. The other stuff I want to talk to you about too is like the content creation. I know not just at SHOT Show, but just in general, where you and I have the same hours and days. So does everyone else listening to this. And people are like, well, you're lucky or you're special or blah, 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 right? Because you have this empire, whatever it is, right? And I laugh because I'm like, we have the same hours. I've done the same thing. It's taken me bajillion years. How simple is it for us to use our phone, to use our laptop, to make a 5-second video? I mean, you showed me your little drop with the Mark 7.
Yeah. I think the problem is people have a lot of bullshit excuses, period. Like they just have a lot of excuses. So I have talked about my background a little bit, but not a whole lot. So I'll put a little bit more out there on this. I worked for the county, right? I worked in Parks Department when I was younger.
You're a Parks and Rec nerd?
I was. So it was terrible, by the way. So, but I would mow the grass, clean bathrooms. I just needed to get into the job, right? Because it's very hard to get into those type of jobs. Well, I hated it, right? It's not my style of job. I wanted to be. It was one of those things where, like, when you walk in the very first week, they're like, "Slow down, you're working too hard." I'm like, "This isn't gonna do me. I'm not gonna do well here. I'm not that type of person, right?" So I go into I get out of that. I work 5 years to go into like mosquito control, where I got to go and work. And like, I thought I was going to do like, take care of mosquitoes and be more of like a brainiac, which I'm an idiot. So I was kind of like, all right, cool. Like I can figure out how to dump chemical into water. I won't even need to measure. I'll just go glug, glug, glug. And there it is. So I go into the job and it ends up becoming like a manual labor job where all I was doing is like plucking trees it was the dumbest job ever. Right. So I get out of that job, I get so frustrated with them telling me that we're going to fire you all the time, right? This is when the economy was getting ready to take a dump, and I didn't know this at the time. Yep. Obama was president, and I didn't realize we were going to have a recession coming up. So I quit that job. I started working as a contractor. I never worked for anyone else. I just watched videos, read books, and I was good with my hands. I could figure out anything if I just put my hands on it. Even if it took me longer. So I went in and I started a construction company, and I worked from I got to work at 5:30 and left at 3, and worked from 3 o'clock to 10, 11 o'clock at night in people's homes until I got finished. And I did that for over a year and a half to start my business. Well, then the economy takes a dump, right? So I worked wherever I could to make money, restaurants, what a terrible lifespan that was, but worked in restaurant, anything, just to keep money coming in the door. Then construction picked back up and I murdered it, right? And the funny part is when I didn't know how to do something, I would just pay somebody whatever their bill was. Like, let's just say, I'll never forget this job. I had a window that had to be closed in with stucco. Guy told me $600. I said, okay, cool. Took the $600, told the customer it's going to be $600 to fix it. He came and fixed it, and I stood there and watched him. So I paid $600. I made zero money, but I got an education. Yeah. And then I did every window after that. I could make money doing it.
Nice.
Right. So again, I'm an idiot. I don't know anything. But I learn. I pay attention. I'm smart about like those kind of things. Yep. So when I got into this sport, I focused so much on the details because that's what my whole life has basically been. Like construction, all that stuff was details. Mm-hmm. So when I got into this sport, Dwayne Spires, my buddy Dwayne, was like, dude, you got to go farther into this. Like, you're really good at coaching and you're amazing at explaining it, So I started small. I just started with my phone. And I'll never forget the video that he made me do to kind of start my business was horrendous. Like it was so choppy. He's like, all right, well, tell me what the business is and this and that. And I'll never forget. I still have the video, and I think it's even on I still use it. It's me. I would talk, and then you'd hear, okay, going to, and it's chopping where he's constantly having to chop my stupid butt up because I couldn't get like the whole phrase out. So it was terrible. And then I go back and I watch all my old videos, and I still have some of them because the content's there, but I couldn't talk. Like I couldn't I'd have to chop it up because I didn't understand how I was just talking to the camera. Mm-hmm. But really I'm talking to a person is the way I look at the camera. It's just like talking to you right now. And so I'm just banging out video after video, and I noticed it got better and better and better. And then I got into a video course. There was a video course where I think it was like I don't know, $600 or $700 for lifetime access. They had all the videos about how to run a camera, the kind of cameras that they were using. And it wasn't an infomercial. It was just these, like they went through all the different cameras and things like that. So I took all of my money that I made in this business, because I was still doing construction at the time. I took every bit of money that I made making videos, selling my insider circle, everything went back into the business for the first year.
Yep.
Everything. I bought 2 cameras, 2 lenses, and guys, I don't think you understand. Just a lens alone is $2,800.
Yep, 25.
If you, again, to me, it's about quality. It's always been about quality. I will spend the money even if I don't make money, I'm not putting a shitty product out there.
Yep.
I refuse. So the new phones are just as good as a $2,500 camera. It's insane. So I would start there. That would be the first thing I would start with, is just start with your phone and then just talk to your damn camera. If you have something that's very interesting, people will listen to it. There are some terrible content creators out there in our industry, and they still get views, right? It's because not everyone likes everyone's style. So you're always going to have a different view or vision out there. But the easiest thing is just keep going. Like, being finished is better than perfect.
Yep. 100%.
I used to do videos, and if I didn't like them, I'd be like, oh, no, I can't send it out. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. This thing's going to sit here for another year. I'm never happy. Yep. So I got to get it out there and let the content be what it is. Right. And that's what's changed for me. That's where you really have to start. You just have to go with it. Self-doubt is a bitch.
It is.
Self-doubt is a bitch in this sport. In our sport, in videoing, everything. You have to just go with it, right? Yeah. And learn. YouTube is your friend in many, many ways when it comes to videoing. If you don't want to spend the money to go on a program, you can learn. I learned how to edit on YouTube. Like, I learned how to edit on YouTube. Then it takes talent, right? After you learn how to edit and you know what the buttons do, you have to see the video. Like, that's something that I can't give you. You got to you got to understand. Like, I've done a couple of videos with shooting that I don't know if anybody appreciates, but it's a shit ton of work, and you got music behind it, and you got different angles and stuff like that. But it's like, well, no one cared about that one.
You have to have like a creative mind too, but I mean, you don't have to, right? But there is a point where you have to know like the scenes. So like it sounds silly, but I have a whiteboard. I have 2 whiteboards, and I whiteboard like, okay, these are the things I need from this angle.
100%.
We need to cover X, Y, Z. And I did that horrible video, by the way, on the Smith & Wesson competitor, because I had that, but I got all the key features that you would want into the frame. And like get a tripod, something that's really cheap. You could use a little tiny 3-prong tripod. I mean, there's so many tools out there, and there's just so many excuses as well. But the dumbest people are making content.
The 2 most important things with a video, guys, is this. Well, I guess there's really only one, that the audio. Yes. Oh my God. The audio. I have done podcasts where I won't put them out there because somebody's audio is so horrendous. Instagram Live is not a great product for podcasts. I hate those. Like, I try to not go on those because it's shitty no matter how you do it. Audio is very, very important. If you can sit down and listen to somebody have a conversation, it's way better than listening to someone go, it's like, okay, that's it. I'm out. I'm done. Like, this dude's internet just wiped out. I'm done. Right.
That was really impressive, Tom.
Yeah.
That was really...
Well, I've heard that on many audios that I'm just like, end of podcast.
Yeah.
So, and it sucks because the content could be really great, but if you don't put the effort into, and honestly, there's no excuse for mics now. Like, I have a DJI mic that it's a little, you literally take it out of the charger, and you can actually take the other transmitter and put it on. You don't even have to have an extra lav mic, and you can run your whole video off of that. You can actually connect them to your phones now, where it's automatically synced up to the video. You don't have to do any editing at all.
Yep.
You can edit everything off your phone. Yep. I don't like it. It's not as good, but I edit a lot of videos. Almost all my shooting videos that I do of stages are from my phone.
Yeah.
Because they're already there.
Yep.
Right. I cut all the crap out of it. That's another thing. Don't waste people's time when you're doing videos. If there's a gap where you're going, oh, what am I going to say? Get rid of that. Right. Yeah. No one wants to hear that shit. I want to be, again, you have 10 seconds to keep people interested in your video.
Or you do what you need to do on YouTube is cut it and have the titles of like, here's where you learn how to take apart this.
Right.
Here's where you do this. Right. Because if you're consuming content and you're skipping to the part that you need, right? You don't need the whole video, but you want this. do the exact same for the people following
Right.
you or listening to you. Yeah.
Right. It's important. It takes more work, but I mean, listen, what are you doing it for? If you want to do this for a career, you want to do this for a living, or even if you just want to put a better quality product out there, you got to look for those little things because that's what people appreciate. You know, there's videos that I watch that I'm just like, oh, nope, I'm not watching this. It takes too long to find what I want. And then there's some videos that are really good out there and you're watching the whole thing. You know, it's so like myself, podcasts. I've cut my podcast down to an hour because everybody's telling me basically like, dude, your 3-hour Joe Rogan podcasts are too long. And I'm like, I get it. Like, unless you have the crazy passion that I have for this, I don't want to sit down and listen to Tom Castro talk for 3 hours either. Right. So I break them up now. If I do like Nils, I had a 2-hour podcast with Nils.
Yeah.
And I broke it into 2. You know, it's okay. I'll tell this story because I didn't really say this out loud because I actually went up to Nils at SHOT Show and I was like, dude, your podcast was really good. Cause I always go back and listen to them. Mm-hmm. But when you're doing a podcast like this, you don't actually remember half the shit you talk about, right? Cause you're just going through subjects and you're just having a conversation. So I listened to the podcast and I was like, dude, there was a lot of great information in there. Again, I'm thinking educational wise is the way I look at the podcast. And Nils kind of opened up a little bit, which was nice because he's very reserved most of the time. Like he's super cool if you get to know him, but he doesn't like just let it all hang out. Right. So we're talking and I don't know how many times I said to him in the podcast that I eliminated from the podcast, like, all right, man, I'll let you go, bro. I like, this is my last question. Like, cause I didn't want to hold him. Right. Like I don't know if there was a time limit for him or he's just like, all right, this is going horribly or what? So I'm just like, okay, man. Thanks for coming on. Like, dude, he's the multinational champ. He doesn't need my podcast. Right. So, and he's just like, finally, he went on for another hour after I thought he wanted to get off. Like, or I didn't want to hold him, I should say, not that he tried to get off. But I told him at the thing, I was like, yeah, man, I was like, I just want to let you know, like, I didn't want to like rush you off the podcast. I just didn't want to hold you. And he's like, yeah, you said like we were done like 15 times. I was like, yeah, don't worry. I edited all those out. It was bad. It was so bad. I'm like, oh my God, I asked him to leave again. I asked him to leave
Get off. No.
It was freaking hilarious. It was so funny because he was just like, I think he understood like I didn't want to hold him. Yeah. But he was like, yeah, let's go, baby. He told me, he's like, I didn't look at the time. He didn't look at the clock once. I was like, all right, I did a good job. If you don't get bored and you can stay on there, then that was pretty awesome. That was pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't think some of the people, that's what I love about the industry though. Some of the people that you're like, I'm afraid to ask or afraid to have like your time because you know what the value is of that. Right. You do. I think you might get that more than most. You can't get back time. So I'm like, that's awesome. I think you've got a little man crush on Nils.
I appreciate, I just watched him a lot. Right. I noticed a lot of his career. I watch a lot. I admire a lot of what he's done. I also admire that he is not one of the, he is not a very well-known shooter. Like everyone can say they know like Nils was great. Like, honestly, he's not like, if first thing comes up is JJ, Christian Silent, right? Those are I would say those are the most popular names just because Nils is very quiet. I know. Like he don't talk a whole lot. Right. And I don't mean like, I mean, he's not on video a lot. But I think he's starting to change that so that, you know, again, and also it is that I've recently talked to him a lot so that, our conversations have happened recently. That's probably why I talk about him quite a bit.
He's very funny. He's very, very funny. And
he's awesome, man. It's a lot of fun to hang out with him. So
I had
SHOT Show was fun.
Good. I have one more thing that I want to ask you because it's been important for both you and I is talking about nutrition and working out and also just like physically eating better, preparing for matches. I know we eat like shit at SHOT Show a little bit, but in the general course of life, how has that improved your shooting and what are you doing? What recommendations do you have for other people as well?
So it's changed my life completely. I didn't really think I was making as many gains as I am until I just shot a 30-stage match. Yeah. Day 3, I felt like I hadn't even shot yet. I felt amazing. I'm kind of a maniac about stuff. Like when I get like really obsessive, I get kind of obsessive about things when I'm, especially when I start seeing results, like I jump in 100% and the working out thing, like I make it a priority now. So every day at SHOT Show, I worked out.
Which every is insane, day because you're doing 50,000 steps in a couple of days and you're just trying to work out on top of it.
Didn't matter. I worked out every single day at SHOT Show. I hit that gym that they offered at that place. And I busted my ass in there because I was like, all right, even though I'm walking, I'm going to eat like shit. So, that's something that's changed for me a lot and actually I just made a Mindset Monday in my insider circle about perfection. I have had to let that go and it hasn't been easy, because, you know, everybody strives for perfection, but there is no such thing as perfect. There's no such thing. You can just, I've started to enjoy the journey of perfection, or like trying to be perfect, but like I ate like shit at SHOT Show. I left there disappointed as hell about my diet. But when I got home, I immediately got back to it and I was like, oh, I feel great. Like I'm not even mad. Like I got to eat. I guess if I would have really enjoyed the food at Vegas, it wouldn't have felt as bad, but there was just a lot of shitty shit. Like not even stuff where I'm like, oh, this is so good. No, it's junk.
I know.
So I got home, I went right back to it, started working out again. I leave and go to the Pan Am, and I bring my weights with me. And I worked out in the garage like a maniac. Like I'm like Padavan's there, Christina, everyone's laughing. And I'm just like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to keep this going. Right. And I ate healthy the entire time I was there until we had 2 dinners. We had 2 dinners that we went out and just kind of hung out, ate like shit those 2 dinners. But I came home, instantly worked out on Monday and got back to my diet.
There you go.
Right. So the diet is really, really important, but the working out has changed everything for me because I can physically stay there.
Yep.
What do I do for working out? I do a lot of cardio based workouts. Like a lot of my workouts, I do a shit ton of kettlebells. I really enjoy kettlebells. There's a lot of rotation, a lot of stuff that we do in this sport. So like when you throw a kettlebell, you know, down, it makes you rotate. And you're doing a lot more core stuff. I do a lot of that, a lot of kettlebell stuff. And it's exercise after exercise. I don't do any like real bodybuilding stuff.
Yeah.
I'm more physically based on what I do for a sport, like for a living
stuff. And
yeah, it's all I don't do a lot of, I don't do a lot of running, right? It really hurts. It beats me up really, really bad. So I don't do a lot of running. Like my cardio is walking. I walk 2 miles before I work out. And then all my cardio goes into the weight workout.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's been big. Nutrition has been big. Actually, speaking of nutrition, I noticed I was one of the few people that didn't get sick leaving SHOT Show. I actually came out of it unscathed. So unlike you.
I'm always. I think I'm gonna have to figure out my body. I don't know. But I actually did pretty good all week besides the stupid lunches of salads there.
I just think the problem with SHOT Show in general, and the reason why everybody gets so sick is because they're touching everything. Right? Like I didn't touch a lot of guns. I didn't touch a lot of gear. That wasn't what I was there for. Like I'm not, like a lot of the guns are the same there. Like there's a lot of ARs. I'm like, oh, look, another AR rifle. Like
I was there, let's see, 4 plane rides, 8 days, barely little sleep, and then went to Beretta Day, SIG Day, regular range day, which was 25 mile per hour winds and it's hard. It is hard.
It's because of how long you were there. That's definitely part of it as well, because there are people that go there for the long haul and never rest. They go out and party afterwards. Like I totally was old man in it. I went to the SHOT Show, went out to dinner and went to bed.
You can do that. I still slept a lot and went to bed, but I'm 30, single, and you have to. I've said this before. When you are in my position, you don't have a choice. Married, kids, fine. You won. You can go to bed. You're lucky. I would love to be here.
Yeah, I saved some money and some heartache, I'm sure, the next day. So
I'm not a gambler. Didn't gamble. Like so many. I hate Vegas.
Didn't spend a single dollar. I was like, I even brought a couple $100. Like, maybe I'll throw some old lady slot machines in there, and I didn't touch them. I was crazy. I'm proud of myself. But I didn't actually stay at the casino. That helps as well.
That does. That helps as well. I actually wanted to, and I hate it, but I want to do the slots. I think they're fun, but didn't do it.
Yeah, but you've got stuff to do. You're busy. You're crazy busy at SHOT Show.
It was good though. It was a good time.
It was fun.
It's like a family reunion. There's a lot of people though at SHOT Show too that you don't meet ever really in matches, at events. They're in different sports, but they're still in our industry and they're good people. So it is nice to do that. But anything else? We've covered a lot. Or did you want to leave any tips on like that nutrition for other people, or like what you would recommend for them?
So the thing with nutrition is you have to be accountable to yourself. And if you can't be accountable to yourself, find someone that will hold you accountable. I hired a nutritionist, not because I didn't know what the hell to eat, but because I was never sticking to a diet. The diet was definitely my weakness thing for sure. I was terrible about what I would eat. I was like, oh, something in a bag, nice and easy, nice and convenient. Now I wake up every morning, I make food. Actually, when I go to the range now, I make food where, depending on where you're at. If you have a hotel, it's a different scenario. But the Airbnbs, like every day for all 3 days that we shot, I brought lunch with me to the range. Yes, they had range food. No go. So I also eat throughout the match all day long. So I eat, like in the morning, I'll give you a good example of my diet, and it's the same every day, guys. So it's very simple. I ate 2 cups of egg whites and a bagel. No seasoning, no butter, no honey, a cinnamon raisin bagel, period. Done. Then my next meal, which is 3 hours later, I eat 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, a protein shake, and 2 bananas. Boom. That's 3 hours. The next 3 hours, I eat chicken and rice. After that, I'm supposed to eat oatmeal, but if I can't get to the oatmeal, I do 2 scoops of protein powder and 2 bananas. Then I eat steak, a little bit of rice, and broccoli or asparagus for dinner. Boom, every single day. And I've lost 35 pounds since last January.
Oh yeah. Congrats.
And all it is just being consistent. It's so easy to do this. It's just consistent. And then when I miss something, I don't quit. I don't get pissed like I used to. I just go, it's all right. Go right back to it. 99% of the time is what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for 100% of perfection. I'm looking for 99% of the time. And I do supplements, right? I take vitamins, vitamin C. I go outside and get lots of sun. Obviously, my purple face right now.
It's
but
so pretty.
yeah, I do.
Look
I go
how different
outside.
we are. If you're watching the video, literally the scale of white to brown.
It just goes across like, so mine has not been colored yet. Hers is raw video. Mine is colored video. That's actually what it looks like, guys. The raw video is more of a grayish color and a white girl, and I'm the darker version of the color grade.
100%. Holy shit, I can't unsee that now. You're so dark.
So actually, everybody needs that. That's another video tip: is color grade your stuff. Don't just use what the phone gives you, because it usually looks like shit. That's funny. I think Kenzie's going to learn how to color grade after this and fix her video.
I don't like this.
Well, I mean, you have been in your house sick for almost 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
So that tends to happen. If you don't go outside and get sun, girl, you're gonna look a little pale.
To be fair, too, I don't understand this year in Tennessee. I know your parents are up here. There's been dark. No sunshine. Yeah, for like, I don't know, 2 weeks. It's been snow, rain, black.
Yeah, right before Christmas, my parents said that it rained for like 3 weeks straight. Like you couldn't drive in the grass. You would get stuck. She goes, it was bad. That was like 3 weeks. That's a long time to get a lot of rain like that, because they live out in the middle of 20 acres. So it doesn't go anywhere. No. It just sits on their land and, drains out. And they're like, oh my goodness. And then we got snow in Christmas time. That was nice. So it was kind of cool to be there for that.
Jealous. Every year I leave for Christmas. It's a tradition. And then it snows while I'm in fucking Florida.
Well, it's been really nice here, man. I'm telling you what, we've had some great weather. This weekend was really, really nice. I think day 3 was the first day we had like real sun, but it was pretty cool on, actually the shoot off was the only time we really had sun. Everything else was kind of cool and breezy, but it was nice to shoot in.
Yeah, to see you guys in pants was a little weird. I was like, I
don't wear pants. I wear compression. I can't shoot in pants. I struggle. Like, it's just like anytime I try to move, I just feel like somebody's tying my legs together. I just hate it. So I just wear those compression pants, which help my legs. So another tip. The compression pants or compression sleeves on your calves, as much as we're running around and stuff, it just helps my blood flow a lot. So
love it. Cool. Well, we've talked about a ton of stuff. How can people find your website, your social media, and then what are some maybe like classes that you have coming up that people can sign up for?
Ooh, you got the class conversation now. Hold on. I'll pull up. I got to pull up the phone, even though I hate doing this on a podcast, but I'll pull up the phone so I can get those correct. But I can talk and do this at the same time, hopefully. The website is tcsacoaching.com. That is my website. I have online digital content. I have actually recently this year, I've broken up a lot of stuff. I used to have kind of like it all in one section or like specific sections, and I kind of broke it up. So now I have a section with just PCC stuff. Then I have a shooting foundation area, which is like basically anything that has to do with foundational stuff, your draw, your grip, any kind of videos like that. I have a movement section that I do just movement in and I hate breaking that up from the shooting foundation part, because fundamentally, I think movement is part of our sport.
Yeah.
So like, I'm a big movement guy. If you struggle with movement, not a bad coach to come see, because I like to do movement stuff. To me, it's something that we see, or I don't see a lot of people coaching, right? Specifically, I see a lot of people coaching the gun stuff, but if you really want to get good at this sport and still suck at shooting, learn how to move. It's big. Movement is really, really big. You can shoot a shit ton of Charlies and win.
Yeah.
If you're fast and you can learn to move. So I have, I'll give you my class schedule. So I have a class in February 23rd and 24th, which is very close in California. Pennsylvania, 15th and 16th of July. Louisiana, February 18th and 19th. Actually, I need to start pushing that class. That class has been a little bit light. Covington, Georgia, 11th and 12th of March. Illinois,
I'll see you
6th
there,
and 7th.
by the
What's
way.
that?
I won't be in your class. I'll be shooting the ladies' invasion at the same range at the same dates. So
On the Georgia class? On the Georgia one?
it's March 11th and
Nice.
12th, 2-day
Oh.
shooting match, and you're.
Oh, that's right. Actually, I think I remember talking to Andreas about that, saying that they have a ladies thing that won't affect because they were worried about if I could get the dates. So,
Yeah.
Texas class May 27th and 28th, Belton, South Carolina, 10th and 11th. I'm very disappointed you're not coming to that match, by the way. I know you have other things, but June 15th and 16th in California again. So
Cool.
those are the classes I have scheduled right now, but I've got a couple that I think I'm going to get one in Michigan in August or September. I have 2 different dates. I just have to look about those. And I think that's it for right now, but I'm just trying to pack them all in. Every weekend seems like it's gone.
Yeah, it is.
It's nuts.
all gone.
So it's
I
crazy.
schedule my entire year out in advance, and it's really cute when people are like, "Hey, want to hang out?" Blah blah blah. And my mom, same thing. "Hey, what are you doing this weekend?" And I was like, "Ha,
Yeah.
where are we looking at? 2024? Because maybe."
Yeah. Yeah, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is really tough for me because it's usually travel days, and then I'm coming back Monday. So it's like, what? Well, wait, I'm already into the next week. I started coaching my kids' basketball team.
Oh.
It's fun, but not fun, right? Like I love spending time with him, but then I'm like coaching kids that I'm just like, just run. I'm tired of hearing your bullshit. Just run. Like, like stop with the excuses. I'm just not a good excuse guy. That's
You're not
all.
a kid person when it comes to like, yeah, they're.
No, I am. I don't cuss at them like I do adults, but
But they're excuses.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. They have lots of excuses. Like I have a couple girls on my team. Like I have 3 girls on my team, and I have daughters, right? So I have 3 girls on my team, and there's like this one little small. I mean, man, she's so little, but she's so feisty. I love her. She's so feisty, right? And but you put all 3 of the girls together, and like 2 of the girls just can't stop talking like together. And I'm like, you go over there and you go over there. I'm trying to, I'm like, I don't need to be here. Like yesterday they were talking too much. I said, all right, we're going to run. No, I'm like, run, let's go running. And guess what? They stopped talking. It worked. They stopped
they can't
talking.
breathe and talk. So
yeah. Well, they'll find a way.
My softball coach did that to me. My full name is Mackenzie, obviously. You won't be surprised. He nicknamed me Motor Mouth Mackenzie.
Yeah, I hate when people do that though, because I don't mind talking, right? Obviously, I'm a talker, but it's just like you have to be tactful in that, like when you talk, and that's the thing.
Softball
the
kid, at 17, 16 years old. Yeah, no.
Yeah, so that's messed up, man. That's child abuse.
That's awesome. I loved all of my softball coaches. They were a blast.
Yeah. That's good though. That's the way it's supposed to be. I mean, it's good to give people a hard time, and as long as it's in good spirit, and you're supposed to enjoy that, man. It's because it makes it miserable if your coach is just being a dick. Yeah. And doesn't give you a nickname, he's just being a dick. So if he gives you a nickname, he probably likes you, right?
Like if you're abused, you got a nickname, or people give you shit, they like you. And then I'm worried when they don't. And
right. My best friends are the ones that are. I'm like, did anybody hear me talk to them? They're like, that guy hates him. I'm like, that's my best friend. What are you talking about?
Yep, that's what I love.
Oh, it's terrible. We have such a jerk to my friends. I'm like, so I talked to Craig the other day. I'm like, I'm sorry, dude. I got to watch how I talk to you. He's like, well, it's okay. And I'm like, yeah, I don't like it. So I'm going to fix it. And then I go, you suck. He started laughing. So awesome. Thick skin, baby. Thick skin.
Yeah, you got to have thick skin for sure. And anything you do, but for sure the sport.
Especially the shooting, because it's you can mess up a lot and be made fun of by your friends a lot.
Yes.
A lot, for sure.
Craig, we love you, Craig.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing all your wisdom and stuff. And people need to go follow you. What is it? You have 2 accounts, like Tom Castro Shooting Academy?
So it's supposed to be only Tom Castro. So when I first started, I had like my own shooting page. I got to figure out how to get rid of that stupid thing. But it's Tom Castro Shooting Academy on Facebook, Instagram. I don't do Twitter. I will never do Twitter. I will definitely never do a TikTok dancing video. So I don't have any of that. So everything's Facebook and Instagram. And that's where most of my stuff. Oh, and YouTube, Tom Castro Shooting Academy. I don't know how I got that on there, but somehow that's still I got that name on there. So Tom Castro Shooting Academy on YouTube, and that's where a lot of my podcasts go. I do a lot of the podcasts on video for that and send it out and go from there. But yep.
Love
and
it.
then tcsacoaching.com is where you guys can sign up for. I also offer 2-week free trial. So if you guys are interested, it gives you 2 free weeks. So you have the option to get in and you can quit anytime, cancel anytime. It doesn't cost you anything to cancel within those 2 weeks. But that's how much I believe my stuff will help people.
Heck yeah, I've seen it. Christina, you're rocking it.
She's
like
awesome, man. I'm telling you, you girls, dude. I love coaching you girls. You guys listen better than any guy students I've ever had.
Very true.
There's something to be said about that male ego. That's a son of a bitch, including my own. It's tough. I'm telling you, you're laughing because you're a girl, but you don't understand. Like, it's tough. Guys are hard on themselves, but they're also the best ever at everything we do just because that's how we are, right?
The best at everything.
Best at everything. Doesn't matter. Like, I'm shooting 6 deltas at this match. I'm like, yeah, I'm the man. Like, it's just how it is. It hurts our feelings to suck at stuff. So you can't admit it out loud. You go home and cry in the corner when no one's looking. That's how it works.
We put that on video.
Oh, you can put it out there. I don't care. That's why I said it. It's
so true, though. I do like teaching women. I love teaching women, but
they just have good, open minds about most stuff. They also don't have a shit ton of bad habits. They've never had that mansplaining in their life usually. So until they get it, then they don't get messed up. But that's just how it works, man. Girl, she's awesome, dude. She's got such a drive to get better. That's one of the things about her that I really enjoy. Like, we were walking stages this weekend, and she said this. She was saying some stuff. I'm like, oh my God, I just spoke out loud through her. That's amazing. Like, I was so excited. I get so excited about my students. I really do. I yell and scream about they do awesome. I'm like, yeah, let's go. Like, I'm so excited when they crush it because it's hard, man. It's a hard sport.
It is.
It's to get better fast is very difficult, right? Over time, you'll figure it out. But if you want to go fast and get better fast, coaching really makes a difference. I used to be such an anti-coach. Like, I can do it. I'll figure it out. And then I took a class with over video, and I was like, oh my God, I just saved 6 years off of education here. And then I took it into my shooting, and I made a difference for sure. It's pretty awesome.
It's awesome. No, I've seen it in your students as well. So congrats. I'm excited to watch Christina beat everybody this year. I mean,
except for you don't want to see that.
Oh no, I straight have told her. I said, girl, the next match we shoot PC, you already will have beaten by far me. And she's like, coming. No. I was like, yes. Because I'm not putting the work, and I'm not dry firing, I'm not live firing, I'm not taking classes. I know that, but also she's better. She's incredible. Yeah,
this weekend she was very frustrated with herself because she's, hard on herself like she should be. I think that's the heart of a champion, or the mind of a champion, is to be hard on yourself even when you do well. But she just doesn't understand that she sucks because she's getting better. Right. Like, one thing most people get frustrated with is they don't understand you're going to suck for a little while. Once you suck for a little while, it gets better, and then you're going to go back to suck again, and you're going to get better. And it's just how it works. It's an endless battle of getting better and then getting worse and getting better. But every time you add on to that foundation and get better and better and better.
Yep. See, I negated your thing where it's like, I want to win, I'm going to be best, blah, blah, blah. No, I actually want to see my teammates and my best friends succeed. So I do want to see her to beat.
Well, you can have both, but if you guys come up together, it's even more fun, because then you have real competition to drive yourself, right? Having someone to compete against
she pushes
makes a big difference.
She pushes me. Oh, and we've shot matches.
She's super positive, dude. That girl is the most positive person. Yep. I love shooting with her. Like, all my videos, and then the last one I posted, she's like, spicy. I'm like, I'm posting that right there. Like, there's not very often you get a woman in the background yelling spicy with a man in the front. I was like, I'm posting it. It's getting out there. It was awesome.
She is the best.
It was so funny.
Hype girl. Awesome. Well, Tom, I can't wait for this year. Can't wait to see what matches. Can't wait to see what you do with the Canic yell.
Ryan, I don't know about that steel frame, but definitely going to rock what I already bought.
It's coming. All right, guys. Well, stay tuned for the next episode of the Reticle Up Podcast. Go follow Tom. Go take a class. Go listen to his podcast. Pretty much all the things, and get better. So,
thank you for having me on. See you guys.
Bye, y'all.
Thanks for listening to the Reticle Up Podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Follow along on social media at Reticle Up or 3 Gun Kenzie.